Good morning. It's time for your dose of the political insiders. Lara, Beck on the left, Abdul, Hakim-Shabazz on the right. We are in the middle of the Democratic National Convention. What can we expect from this convention this week?
I think we can expect a show. I mean, I think we're going to hear
theater.
Theater, the theater,
Scripted.
not the theater of the absurd, as we saw with
but scripted
Clint
though.
Eastwood.
Scripted.
Yeah, scripted. I don't think we'll have any Clint Eastwood moments. I hope not, at least. No, I think we can expect the Democrats to really lay out the case for Barack Obama, the case for President Obama, and why we need to continue to move forward. So I think we're really going to see that. I think the lineup of speakers shows that. We've got Michelle Obama leading in. We've got Joe Biden bookending at the back to really brag on the president. So I think it's going to be a very compelling case for why he should be reelected.
Very optimistic, Abdul.
Very optimistic.
More realistically, it's
doom and gloom over here.
No, not necessarily doom and gloom, but having been this guy before, it's going to be, baby, please don't leave me, is what it's going to be. It's going to be that guy whose girlfriend is really thinking about heading over to go date Mitt Romney, and he is out there under the window, please don't leave, don't go. You know, this relationship is actually better than it was 4 years ago when we started.
I'm going to admonish you to stop singing because then we have to pay the fee. Let me ask you this. Romney asked that question about, are we better off? And already we see that Mr. Biden is saying Osama is dead, GM is alive. Is that enough, Abdul? Is that enough to get over the hump of the economy?
There's going to be two things. Number one, do people feel their own personal lives are better than they were 4 years ago? And then people are going to ask the question, do they think the country is better off than it was 4 years ago? And for Democrats to really have that message, they need both of those to work. And people have to believe, and even if people don't believe things are better than they were 4 years ago, that they're moving in the right direction. A lot of people think that, the $15 trillion worth of debt, you counterbalance that against the Chrysler GM. So it's really going to basically be about how do people feel in their personal lives and juxtaposing that to the position of the entire country.
Lara, go ahead.
I think that what we have to also remember, too, and I think most Americans remember this as well, is that we are recovering from one of the worst financial crises in modern American history. And I think it is incredibly important that we continue reinforcing that to folks, which is why I think they're going to have Bill Clinton speak, for example. He was a Democrat president before George Bush let the bottom drop out. So I think that it's important to remember that President Obama has had a very full plate as he moves in with a lot of these issues. Fighting wars, all these different things. This all costs money.
I'm going to cut you off because we have about 10 seconds left. I have a prop. We saw the empty chair
oh, well, hello.
at the RNC. Quickly, will we get a rebuttal at the DNC convention to the empty chair we saw last week in Tampa? Quickly.
I think we'll have lots of jokes, but maybe they'll have Gary Busey come in.
There'll be a joke or two, but that'll be about it.
All right, the Political Insiders. You can watch them every Sunday on our Political Powerhouse program. This week, Sundays on RTV6. And, of course, our convention continues here on theindychannel.com. Was the empty chair prop used by Clint Eastwood, was that effective at that convention, or did it backfire on the Romney campaign? Abdul?
I don't think at the end of the day it worked as well as they hoped it would have, let's put it mildly. Be honest with me, pulling that up, and like, this is stupid, what are we doing? It's one thing to have Clint Eastwood or a rock star come out and kind of really rah-rah the troops. I've been looking at some old convention coverage. When Ronald Reagan came out in 1992 to speak for George Herbert Walker Bush, that got a lot of the Republicans excited. Doing Clint Eastwood, the empty chair, I thought it was a bit much, and even Ann Romney didn't think that it worked as well as somebody thought it might have not worked as well.
The joke on social media is that Betty White's going to come out and do that. We have no idea if Betty White's going to do it or not, but are we going to get a response?
Should be in the Snickers bar.
I want to just go back to Clint Eastwood for just a second. And I think that, number one, it was an unmitigated disaster. Absolutely. And it's really sad when you see someone like a Clint Eastwood. I mean, his hair was askew. I don't know if anybody noticed that. That was what my mother commented, but his hair was kind of all over the place. Like,
we don't pay attention to that.
He didn't even run a comb through his hair. But I think it also shows the unintended consequences of combining politics and pop culture. Sometimes it can go horribly awry, as it did in this situation. And importantly, no one was talking about Mitt Romney's speech. They were talking about Clint Eastwood and his meltdown on national and international television.
Last question on these conventions. We saw a lot of Latino and women speakers at the RNC. I'm going to imagine we'll see the same focus, Latinos and women, at the DNC.
It's going to look like a box of rainbow Skittles.
Listen, are there any other voters out there? Does anyone else vote in America except these two groups?
I mean, women and Latinos are powerful voting blocs. They really are. And Latinos are definitely a population that they're very, very engaged in their civic responsibility. They take it very, very seriously. And women, I mean, if you want to talk about, it's a good thing Robert's not here, because he would yell at me, I think. The war on women. I mean, women have really been assailed this entire election cycle. So when you talk about things like equal pay, when you talk about access to contraception, these are things that get women's attention. Plus, at the same time, you know, women do a lot of the heavy lifting at home. No offense to our wonderful husbands and significant others.
Final word, Abdul. Latinos, women, are they the only voters this cycle?
When the president has like 99% of the black vote, I mean, where else do you go but you go for the female vote? And you go for...
Are you the 1%?
More like the 3. You go for the... But Barack Obama and my sister are next-door neighbors in Chicago, though. No, but there is something to be said about, you know, the Latinos are the fastest-growing minority in the country. Women obviously are more female voters than male voters. The thing is, it's not so much today. It's sort of 2016 when you look down the road, because as these segments and populations grow, if you want to be a political party, you won't be able to survive without pulling up a significant portion of the women and Latino vote. I don't buy this whole war on women nonsense, but...
Right.
That's because you're not a woman.
No, I'm not.
Maybe.
Okay. That I can confirm. On the right, Abdul Hakim-Shabazz. On the left, Lara Beck. Thank you for watching TheIndyChannel.com and our Political Insiders.